Let's say you start a YouTube.
We had a deal! We had paperwork!
Conditioned to understand we were at that point in our relationship.
That's not true, is it, Miss Heard? Mr. Depp was trying to go inside his house to see his daughter, Lily Rose.
She might have been over that day, but
So
that's not
it's your
what he was
testimony
getting out of
now?
the car to do, and that's not what I was stopping him from doing.
Okay. Let's play the beginning part of that recording where Mr. Depp tells you that he wants to go inside to see his daughter.
And let's not do this anymore, because I'm really getting frustrated. And I'm really, really, really sick of this argument.
Stop, I'm sorry.
Okay? So let me go, and you go, and I'll speak to you in a couple hours. Okay? Okay?
Stop. Okay.
Why are you saying stop? May
you're
I
so-
go?
We'll circle back to this, but it's your testimony that you were outside Mr. Depp's studio.
We were in the car.
You were in the car outside of Mr. Depp's studio,
That's correct.
and he wasn't telling you, please let me go inside my house to see my daughter. He was indicating to you that he wanted to go inside to do drugs. That's your testimony.
I know my testimony is that I knew what he was going inside to go do. I knew what stage of the cycle we were in. I knew the patterns by then, and I was desperately out of time trying to interrupt that cycle.
Let's go to May of 2016.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Her lawyer. Camille
Yesterday, Ms. Heard,
Vasquez.
Ms. Bredehoff, your attorney, showed you certain
bro.
pictures from May 21, 2016. Do you remember that?
You know, Chad?
Yes, I do.
If we could please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 710, which has already been admitted into evidence. Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday that this is a photograph taken of you on May 21st, 2016. Do you recall?
Yo, Chad, do you guys
Yes,
really
that's
think
correct.
this is like
Keeping this exhibit up,
all
if you could
BS?
please do a split screen, Tom, and also pull up Defendant's Exhibit 714, which has already been admitted with redactions.
She crying.
Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday that this is the photograph that was also taken on May 21st, 2016, correct?
Yes, although the one to the right might have been taken the next day. I can't be sure. The reason I say that is because there's light in the background. So it looks like it was taken in the daytime, which means maybe it was the next day.
Didn't you testify that you took different lighting, pictures in different lightings on May 21?
That is correct, yes.
And you're wearing two thin necklaces in this picture on the right, is that correct?
That is correct.
You testified that these pictures were taken the same night.
The one on the right looks like it was taken in the daytime because I can see the daylight behind me.
But you testified that they were taken the same day.
I don't know if I think I testified that they came from the same incident of the same day, not necessarily taken on the same day.
Okay. Let's please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 712, which has already been admitted. You testified yesterday this is another photograph of you on the night of May 21.
That's correct.
And keeping this exhibit up, can we please do a split screen and also pull up Defendant 713, which has already been admitted? Ms. Heard, you testified yesterday this is also a photograph of you from the same night, correct?
That is correct.
You testified yesterday that the only difference between these two photographs is that the light was turned on.
That's what it appears to be, yes.
The light is on both of these pictures, though. Isn't that right?
It looks to me like the one on the left has the vanity light, the makeup lights, you know, the more yellow hued ones that go around the mirror on, and then the one on the right looks like it doesn't have those.
Isn't it true you just edited these photographs?
No, I've never edited a photograph.
Didn't you just enhance the saturation for one of these photos to make your face look more red?
No, that's incorrect. I didn't touch it.
You were sitting here in this courtroom when Mr. Isaac Baruch testified to seeing you the week after May 21, 2016, correct?
I was here.
Mr. Baruch testified that he saw you on May 22nd while you were changing the locks of your penthouse. Do you recall that testimony?
I do. I just don't know if he was right about the date, but I do remember him saying that.
Testified it was his birthday, the day after his birthday.
I believe it was.
Mr. Baruch testified that he saw you repeatedly in the days following also, correct?
That's correct.
And Mr. Baruch testified that he saw no marks or injuries on your face, correct?
That is what he's testified to.
You were also here in this court when Mr. Sean Bett testified to seeing you on the evening of May 21, 2016. Is that right? You were here.
That's correct.
Mr. Bett also testified that he saw no marks or injuries on your face that evening, correct?
I realize that's what he said.
You were sitting here in this courtroom when Officer Melissa Sines testified by deposition about
Stop,
being called to
yo!
the Eastern Columbia building on May 21st, 2016, right?
I saw her testimony, yes.
And you heard Officer Sines testify that she did not see any injuries on you that night, correct?
I heard her testify she did not consider this injured.
No. Miss Officer Sines testified that she met with you and she did not see any injuries on your face. Isn't that correct?
She did not consider this injury.
Ms. Hurd, my question is a bit more nuanced.
So is my answer.
All right. Chat! How's everybody's day going? Yeah, it's great. Here we go.
Tom, can we put these down, please? I think they might be confusing the witness. My question is more nuanced. You sat in this courtroom while Officer Sines testified that she saw you the night of May 21, 2016, face to face, and didn't see any injuries on your face. Isn't that correct, Ms. Hurd?
I believe she was testifying about these photographs, and she said that I was not injured in them.
Is it your testimony under oath now that Officer Sines testified that she saw injuries on you when she saw you in person on May 21?
Sorry, let me clarify. I was testifying that I know that that's what Officer Sines said, that she didn't consider my red puffy face injured. That's what she said.
The red puffy face, that was your counsel's question, correct?
That was
She
her
said-
testimony in the UK.
That's incorrect, and you know that, Ms. Hurd.
I disagree.
It's just inconvenient for you that Officer Sines didn't see injuries on you on May 21, 2016.
It doesn't matter what's convenient for me.
Right. Officer Tyler Haddon also testified by deposition about being called to the Eastern Columbia building on May 21, 2016, and he also testified no injuries on your face on May 21, 2016. Isn't that correct?
They both said that they did not consider me injured.
They did not see injuries on your face on May 21, 2016. Isn't that what their testimony was?
What their testimony was is that they did not consider what my face looked like to be injury. They didn't consider what they walked on in the house damage, but it was.
You were sitting here when Officer William Gatlin testified by deposition about being called on May 21 to the Eastern Columbia building, and he also did not observe any injuries on you, did he? And that's what he testified to.
He didn't even know which one I was.
No, I think we all saw on video camera you identify yourself. Isn't that correct?
I had to because of how far away he was. He didn't even know who he was.
But after you identified yourself, he looked at you. Isn't that correct?
From a distance, yes.
And he didn't see any visible injuries either, did he?
I don't know what he saw.
He testified that he didn't see any visible injuries, did he?
I would believe that he didn't, yes.
You were also in this courtroom when Alejandro Romero, who worked at the front desk at the Eastern Columbia building, testified about seeing you on May 25th, 2016. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. I think he said the 25th.
Yeah, and Mr. Romero testified that he didn't see any swelling or bruises on your face when you were talking to him at the front desk.
He wouldn't have.
No, he wouldn't have, even though he had a habit, because his parents taught him correctly, to look into someone's eyes when speaking to them. Isn't that correct?
I know that's what he testified to, yes.
Yeah. You testified yesterday that you sought a temporary restraining order on May 27th, 2016 because you wanted to change your locks. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes, I do.
Those locks were to the penthouses at the Eastern Columbia building. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
But you changed the locks to the penthouses on May 22nd, 2016.
I attempted to.
That's why you felt comfortable having James Franco over the evening of May 22nd, 2016, Ms. Heard?
I do not know when James came over.
Okay, let's remind you.
Franco.
Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 304, which is already in evidence, and play from 254 through 439?
Isn't it this dude? Yeah, he's Goblin. Goblin. Look at little Goblin Jr. What if this girl actually low-key valid? Oh, they banged. Kissed. Dang, James, you really doing that to Johnny, yo? Dang.
That's you and Mr. Franco on May 22nd, 2016, right, Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
And you're taking him up to the penthouses, aren't you?
That's where I lived, yes.
And it's past 11 p.m. at night. Isn't that right?
I'm not quite sure of the time it looked like that.
Why don't we pull that video back up? $22:51. Almost midnight, right?
That's
Excuse me, almost 11 o'clock at night.
exactly.
Okay. You knew Mr. Depp was out of town the week of May 21, 2016, didn't you?
I don't know what I knew of his schedule at the time.
You knew Mr. Depp was out of town on May 27th when you went to get the domestic violence restraining order. Isn't that right?
I don't know if I knew that at the time.
You knew Mr. Depp was heading out on a European tour that week. Isn't that right?
I'm not quite sure what I understood of his schedule at that time.
You knew he wouldn't be back for weeks, right?
No, that's incorrect.
Let's go back to that recording. It's Defendant's Exhibit 598. You testified that you and Mr. Depp were in the car outside of his studio. Is that right?
Yes.
And you were trying to prevent him from going into his studio to do drugs, right?
Yeah, and to effectively start another cycle.
Right. Not that Mr. Depp was just trying to go into his house to see his daughter, right?
His daughter might be one of the people that was in the house at that time, but that's neither here nor there. That
Your testimony is now,
prevented him
Mr.
from entering a cycle.
Your testimony is now that Mr. Depp does drugs in front of his children?
Well, first of all, I know he does. Second of all, it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have stopped him from using with his friends, which is the problem, not whether or not his daughter was there.
Okay. Let's play, please, defendants 598, 4948 through 5035.
Bro. What type of numbers are those?
5035.
30.
I'm itching. I don't want to be doing this. I want it just to. Why don't you just say, okay, baby, I understand. I'll go home and you do your thing, hang out with your daughter, and then I'll see you in a couple hours and we'll talk about it. Is it that difficult to say that? Or you just fucking hate me and you want to be shitty about it? Please. Just fucking, it's not that difficult. Okay? I don't want to stand here in a driveway and argue with you. Okay, well, I'll see you in a little bit, okay? Please? Please. Just let me know if you're going to go somewhere. Just let me know, please, so I know.
And almost an hour later, you're still arguing with Mr. Depp outside, right?
I don't know how long that argument lasted, no.
Ms. Heard, you testified about seeking a domestic violence restraining order against Mr. Depp, correct?
Yes, I have.
And how you wanted to do it discreetly?
That's correct.
That you wanted as much privacy as you could have?
Yes, that's correct.
And how you walked out to a sea of paparazzi and cameras and photographers, right?
That is correct.
And how this overwhelmed you?
It was overwhelming, yes.
Because you didn't want this attention on you?
That is correct.
If we could please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 800, which has already been admitted into evidence. This is a photograph of you taken inside the courthouse when you obtained the DVRO, correct?
That's correct.
And your friend Raquel Pennington took this photograph?
Yes, that's correct.
Because you needed to document your time at the courthouse getting a DVRO?
She just took a picture of me. I'm assuming it was in relation to my divorce, yeah.
If we could please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 801, which has already been admitted into evidence. Ms. Heard, this is another photograph of you taken inside the courthouse, isn't that right?
That is correct.
Were you having a photo shoot inside the courthouse while you were getting a DVRO?
I would not characterize it that way, Ms. Vasquez.
You have a mark on your face, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes.
You didn't use your bruise kit this time to cover it up?
No, it was the only day I actually walked out of my house without makeup on. I had to be stopped. My best friend saw me in the bathroom starting to put makeup on and told me not to.
All right. Can we please pull up Exhibit 1?
That's plaintiff's at 1?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Apologies.
That's fine.
It's already been admitted into
Yes, ma'am.
evidence. You wrote this op-ed, right, Ms. Heard?
With the help of the ACLU, yes.
And that's what you testified to in this courtroom, right?
That is correct.
And this was published on December 18th, 2018, correct?
That is correct.
Aquaman was released on December 21st, 2018, right?
Yes, that sounds correct.
And that was your first big blockbuster, big budget role, right?
I disagree, but it was the first time I had like a leading role in a movie of that size, yes. Well, second time, yes.
What was your first time?
But the first one was the film I talked about before, yesterday, Justice League. It introduced the character. So, technically it was the second one.
But you were the love interest in Aquaman, correct?
That is correct.
Now, at least parts of this op-ed are about Mr. Depp, isn't that right?
It's about what happened to me after.
You sat here during opening statements when your attorney argued that the context of your statements in this op-ed matter, correct?
Come on, bro. I know we can get
That's
one
correct.
viewer.
So let's go through some of that context.
What happened?
Friends and advisors told me I would never work again as an actress, that I would be blacklisted.
Hey guys, we're giving out a ton of these Nike socks right now for free. No credit card needed. We'll ship it right to your door. Just take a 2-minute survey and they're yours.
How are these people donating this amount of money?
You sat here during opening statements when your attorney argued that the context of your statements in this op-ed matter, correct?
That's correct.
So let's go through some of that context. Friends and advisors told me I would never work again as an actress, that I would be blacklisted. Statement, aren't you?
In general, I'm referring to being associated with domestic violence.
And you're referring to what you claim happened after you got an ex-party. So questions arose as to whether I would be able to keep my role of Mira in the films Justice League and Aquaman. This is also referring to your accusations of domestic violence against Mr. Depp, right?
This is referring to what happened to me after I got my TRO, my restraining order.
Against Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct.
These questions arose only after you accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence in May of 2016, allegedly, right?
Yeah, from the time I got the TRO, being associated with domestic violence, that's what it's a reference to, yes.
You also wrote, quote, imagine a powerful man as a ship like the Titanic. That ship is a huge enterprise. When it strikes an iceberg, there are a lot of people on board desperate to patch up holes, not because they believe in or care about the ship, but because their own fates depend on the enterprise. In this op-ed, you're saying Mr. Depp is a ship, right?
I'm making an analogy to a powerful man as a ship.
The powerful man you're referring to in this analogy is Mr. Depp, right?
I was talking about a bigger issue, actually, than just Johnny. I was talking about what we as a country were talking about at the time of writing this, which is when powerful men in general do something horrible or something they shouldn't, how there is a system in place to protect them, clean up after them, maintain them afloat. You know, this is a reference to not just Johnny, it was about what was happening as a culture when we were addressing a lot of Me Too issues for the first time.
The iceberg is you in this analogy, right, Ms. Heard?
I would not say that. That was not what I intended to know.
So this is another reference to your accusations against Mr. Depp.
No, this is about what happened to me once I left that relationship and got a TRO and became associated with domestic violence.
Right. But it's your testimony that this op-ed isn't about Mr. Depp, right?
It's about what happened to me after. That's correct.
It's about your experience after obtaining a temporary restraining order against Mr. Depp, right?
That is correct, among other things.
But it's not about Mr. Depp.
It is not about him.
Mr. Depp is making it about Mr. Depp, right?
Ironically.
It's kind of like that Carly Simon song, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't know what you mean.
Let's talk about the defamatory statements in the op-ed that you also claim are not about Mr. Depp. Then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out. This is about Mr. Depp, isn't it?
No.
You wrote this in 2018, right?
Exactly.
And 2 years prior was 2016, right?
That's true.
Okay.
That's correct. It's
So
not about
May of
Johnny. It's about what happened to me
Ms.
after.
Heard, my question was May of 2016 is 2 years prior to December of 2018, correct?
That's correct.
All right. May 2016 is when you publicly accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence, right?
I got my restraining order at that time.
And you publicly accused Mr. Depp of domestic violence.
Yes, that was attached to my restraining order, so yes.
May of 2016 is when you sought a restraining order against Mr. Depp.
That's correct, and I had to provide testimony for that.
Right. And May 2016 is when you walked into court with a mark on your face to obtain that restraining order. Yes or no?
That was the day I walked into court with a bruise on my face, yes.
And you were photographed with that mark on your face, weren't you?
I walked out to a bunch of photographers, yes.
May 2016 is when you told the world that Mr. Depp had physically abused you during your relationship. Isn't that right?
That I had to provide testimony as part of my restraining order application, yes.
And that's how you became a public figure representing domestic abuse. Right, Ms. Heard?
From that point on, yes.
That's when you claimed you faced our culture's wrath,
That's
right?
when it started, yes.
But it's your testimony under oath that this statement is not about Mr. Depp.
It is not. It is about what happened to me afterwards. Was the more interesting thing for me to write about.
The next statement reads, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse. This is also about Mr. Depp, isn't that right?
Not just about him, but he is included in that, yes.
He's the man you accused of abuse 2 years prior to this op-ed. Isn't that right, Ms. Heard?
Yes, but I wrote this op-ed in the context of many men at the time that were public figures or in this public eye being accused as well. So it was a reference in general to a larger phenomenon, not just Johnny.
Not just Johnny.
Not just Johnny.
Okay. And then you write, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. This one's also about Mr. Depp.
I did not write that.
Well, you've accused Mr. Depp of sexual violence in this very courtroom, haven't you?
Yes, but I was intending to keep that private when this was published. I had not publicly ever accused him of that.
I'm going to move to strike everything after the word yes.
No, I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
You may not have written this title, but you published it, didn't you?
I did not publish a title. I retweeted the article that included the title in it because that was the article.
Let's pull up, please, Plaintiff's Exhibit 3, which is already in evidence. This is a tweet from your Twitter account on December 19th, 2018, correct?
That is correct.
Your Honor, oh, it's already in evidence?
It is in evidence.
Thank you. So on December 19th, 2018, you tweeted, quote, today I published this op-ed in the Washington Post. Did I read that right?
That is correct.
And the tweet includes a link to the op-ed we were just looking at, correct?
That's correct.
And you can see that the title of the op-ed in your tweet is, quote, opinion, Amber Heard. I spoke up against sexual violence, right?
Yes, you don't get to change the title of an article you're retweeting.
And that's the title that you put on your Twitter, correct?
I did not put it on my Twitter, no.
You linked it to your tweet.
I retweeted the article.
You published it.
I retweeted a link to an article that I wrote.
And you published it on your Twitter account. All right.
I retweeted it.
You testified yesterday that you didn't have any control over the title, and just now, of the op-ed when you retweeted it. Is that correct?
That is correct.
This wasn't a retweet, though, right?
A tweet? Perhaps not retweet. I'm not quite sure.
It was a tweet.
It was a tweet. I misspoke. Excuse me. Tweet, not retweet.
You included a link to the electronic copy of the op-ed in your tweet, right?
That's what I was trying to say earlier, and I might have misspoke. It's like I'm trying to attach it.
Right. So you included a link, right?
Yes,
to the
that's
op-ed.
correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
So you must have seen the title of the electronic version of the op-ed before you tweeted it, right?
I may have. I just didn't notice it.
Not very careful about what you publish, are you, Ms. Heard?
I just didn't notice the title.
You didn't need to include the link to the electronic version of the op-ed in your tweet, did you?
How else would I have linked it?
Well, you didn't need to include the link to tell the world that today you had published this op-ed in the Washington Post about women who are channeling their rage and about violence and equality into political strength despite the price of coming forward, right?
I couldn't attach it with a paper clip.
No, but you didn't need to attach it at all to tell the world
Oh,
that
I see
you
what you're
had
saying.
published an op-ed.
No, the goal was to tweet about it and to provide a link so that people could read it.
The op-ed is in your name, right?
That's correct.
So if you had noticed the title of the electronic version of the op-ed before you included it in your tweet, you could have asked the Washington Post to change it. Isn't that right?
No, that's not.
But you didn't do that, right? You never asked the Washington Post to change the title.
I didn't notice it, and I didn't ask them, nor do I think I needed to.
At the bottom, do you see that there's another tweet from December 19th, 2018?
Yes, I do.
And in this one, it reads, I am honored to announce my role as an ACLU ambassador on women's rights. Did I read that right?
That's correct.
So you announced your ACLU ambassadorship the same day you posted the op-ed on your Twitter.
I think
right?
that was always the plan, is to attach the article with the announcement that I was an ambassador.
Your Honor, if I may, would this be a good time to stop for lunch?
No, it's too
No.
early.
Hey,
Sorry.
we got one
We gotta keep going at least till
viewer.
12:30.
Okay, that's
thank
fine,
you.
Your Honor. You testified yesterday about your counterclaim
one
against
viewer.
Mr. Depp in this case. Do you remember that
Who is
testimony?
it? Can I even see?
Yes, I do.
Your counterclaim is based on 3
Okay.
statements made by Mr. Depp's
Whoever
attorneys,
you are, what's
Adam
up?
Waldman. Is that
Hope
right?
you're having a great day.
That's correct.
We looked at those 3 statements yesterday, right?
That's correct.
And the first statement was from an April 8th, 2020 article, right?
That's correct.
And that's Defendant's Exhibit 1245 that's been previously admitted.
Yo, who you got in this case?
Please pull that up. Thank you.
Oh, it's you.
If we could please publish that. Thank you.
How you doing, buddy? Oh, we got 2 viewers in this mom.
We can scroll down to
What's
the
up?
8th page.
How's everybody doing?
Mr.
Who you
Waldman's
got?
statement is buried on the 8th page of a 12-page article. Is that right, Ms. Heard?
I don't know how many pages are here.
Well, this is the 8th page. Let's go to the 12th.
So, how's everybody's day going? How's everybody's day going?
Let's pull up, please, Defendant's Exhibit 1246, which has already been admitted. And if we could please go to Mr. Waldman's statement on page 10.
1 viewer. Damn.
And go on to page 11 of a... That's Mr. Waldman's statement, right?
That is correct. I think it's Mr. Waldman speaking on behalf of Johnny, yes.
You don't have any evidence of that, do you, Ms. Heard? This is Mr. Waldman's statement, right?
I think it's included in the article as well.
That this is Mr. Waldman's statement, correct?
That a representative or an attorney, I don't know which word it says in the article, that it says very clearly that they're speaking on behalf of Johnny or representing Johnny.
Can we please pull up
Yo, so
Plaintiff's Exhibit
so
8818?
who do you have?
8818A,
Who do you guys think is gonna get this? It's gonna win the trial. Isn't it for like $50 million? If I'm correct, it's like $50 million, and the winner gets the what's it called? Gets the $50 million. It's not really like to get locked up.
We could
or anything.
please go to page 8 of this article.
Yo, the lawyer in white, Johnny's lawyer, the one right there. Her name is Camille Vasquez. Absolute baddie, yo. Absolute baddie. Look at her, bro. The all white. Hair, parted, middle, left, right.
Sorry, Your Honor. May I just
All right.
approach?
Yes, ma'am.
Look at her, bro. And bro, she looked so good yesterday too. I'm honestly gonna make a reaction video of yesterday's video because I saw part of it yesterday. I didn't see the entire thing, but the part that I see, bro, Camille Vasquez, the one in white, she was going off on Amber, bro. But I was busy, so I wasn't able to watch the entire thing. But I'm gonna make a reaction video, me reacting to her, because I saw a video. I just saved it for watch later, so I'm gonna do that later. I'm gonna watch that. So stay tuned on that. Leave a
We'll
like
come
on
back
the,
to this.
on the
Sorry,
screen,
Ms. Heard.
man.
Sorry, Your Honor.
All right. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know. Never know.
Let's go ahead and take this down, please. Thanks. You testified yesterday about how your reputation was before these 3 statements were made, correct?
Yes, I did.
You testified that your career was going very well before.
I think I said the trajectory was positive, yes.
You testified you had a global campaign for L'Oreal, right?
That is correct.
You testified you were waiting on a schedule for Aquaman 2.
That is correct.
You testified you were scheduled to do a press tour for the TV show The Stand.
Press obligations, yes.
And then you testified that after the articles, you were no longer actively involved in the L'Oreal campaign. Isn't that right?
They suspended using my material.
And that you were no longer involved in the publicity surrounding The Stand after the articles, right?
That's correct.
And you didn't hear anything about the schedule for Aquaman 2.
Correct.
Ms. Heard, you have no evidence that Mr. Waldman's 3 statements are the reason you are allegedly no longer active in the L'Oreal campaign, do you?
Well, I mean, other than my awareness that they can't use me because of all of the online attention that generated.
And you have no evidence that Mr. Waldman's 3 statements are the reason that the Stand media opportunities allegedly stopped, do you?
Yeah, I know they couldn't attach my name to their promotional materials because of the online stuff.
In fact, there was a lot of reasons why you were no longer active in these endeavors. Isn't that right?
I disagree with that.
Reasons that had absolutely nothing to do with Mr. Waldman's statements. Isn't that right?
I disagree with that.
There was a lot of publicity about your relationship with Mr. Depp around the time Mr. Waldman made the 3 statements at issue, right?
I do not recall.
A lot of really negative publicity for you, Ms. Heard. Isn't that right?
There's been an ongoing smear campaign, yes.
An ongoing negative publicity campaign.
It's an orchestrated smear campaign.
You have no evidence of that, do you, Ms. Heard?
Just look me up, you'll see.
Let's take a look at some of that.
All right.
No, bro, they're going on break, bro. This might last forever. Oh, he lucky got a fat one. Playing, bro, chilling. I think I ran out of water. While we're on break, how you doing? Appreciate you clicking on the video, joining the stream, and watching this with me. Appreciate it. You know what's funny? Well, it's not that much of an importance. It's just water at the end of the day. But Johnny's been drinking Fiji water. Amber's been drinking Fiji water. I wonder if who on Fiji, or that's just something they shared on in common. I'll be back.